So using substitution, if we solve that first equation for y, then we can take this x squared, because that's what y is equal to, and we plug it into y in our other equation. Make sure you guys are plugging it into the other equation. Some of y'all, when I was going around, y'all were plugging it back into your original, and if you plug it back into your original, you're always going to get infinitely many, because it's like plugging it into the same line. So if I plug it in here, I get x squared minus 3x is equal to 4. Well, when it's written like that, you guys cannot solve for x. The only way that you can solve for x, if it's x squared, is to move everything to one side, set it equal to 0, and then you guys can factor. So if I move this over to this side, I get x squared minus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. And now you can set up to factor. So however you like to factor. I like to do that x where it's a times c on the top and b on the bottom. So a times c is 1 times negative 4. So we're trying to get something that multiplies to give us negative 4. And we're trying to get something that adds to give us negative 3, which is that b value. So that's going to end up being negative 4 and 1. In this case, because your a value is 1, you automatically know that this is just going to be your finished factored form. So you're going to have x minus 4, and you're going to have x plus 1 as your factors equal to 0. If your a value is not 1, that's when you can set up on the review, I set up showing you how to use it, doing grouping or something like that. It kind of just depends. So you have that. So then if you want to solve for what x actually is, then you're going to say x minus 4 equals 0, and you're going to say x plus 1 equals 0. And so then x has to equal 4, and x has to equal negative 1. So those are your two x values to start. So now, just like before, you have to take those x values and you have to plug them in to figure out what your y values are. Just the only difference is now you're plugging in two x values. So if you want to plug it in right here, you plug in, you're going to say y equals 4 squared. So y has to equal 16. And over here, you're plugging in y equals negative 1 squared. So in this case, y has to equal 1. Make sure then when you guys go to write your ordered pairs, these two have to go together because you used 4 to get to 16, and these two have to go together. So your final answers would be 4, 16 and negative 1, 1. Okay, I want you guys to try to solve 12. So work through and try to do 12. Again, that might be one that you can use substitution, you can use elimination, whichever one you want to use. Usually when you get into these quadratics, substitution is just going to be your easier route, just because it's easier to keep everything in order where you want everything to be. But you can choose to use either one. So I'm going to let you guys work on that one, and then we're going to graph them both and check our solutions.